My name is Derek Maribon. Most of you know me. How you doing, everybody? Is there anyone here for the very first time? Any first-timers? Welcome. Welcome, folks. Yes. Yes. LA2M does meet every week, just so you know. We're here every week. And you can also watch it live streaming off your computer, LA2M.org/live. And for those of you who are new, please join our LinkedIn group. Okay, we have a nice LinkedIn group. And we also have a Facebook fan page. So if you are on the Facebook, please like us. Okay. Yeah? Heard of it? Yeah. How many people have seen the movie The Social Network? Did everybody like it?
Yeah.
Pretty interesting, huh? Yeah, it could very well win Best Picture, I believe. Yeah. I think so. Why not? It's a real sign of the times. So this fine young lady standing next to me here, in case you're wondering, this is Stacy Collett from Dollar Bill Printing. Yes. She's the treasurer. Yeah, she's the one that counts the money. And why do I say money? Well, as you know, we're a nonprofit, okay, 501c3 nonprofit. And we pass the hat. That's how we fund ourselves. And Stacy and I just realized that we haven't checked our balance lately. So we'll check that because I think, I don't know if we need to buy anything for the organization, but we may try and plan a later spring event. So we'll give you a report on where we're at next week. But, you know, we passed the hat. It's a suggested $3 donation. You're welcome to come here for free and not pay anything, that's fine. But if you want to chip in, it goes to a good cause to support what we do here. We are volunteer driven. Nobody's taking a salary on this. Like Dee and I don't take salary for being here. We just do it. And where's Nikki? Is Nikki in here? Nikki? Okay. Most of you know Tiffany Reisner, who's been helping out with a lot of our marketing. Tiffany's in the back. Tiffany works in Eugenics. And then Nikki Charensup, who might be hearing her name, the door's open back there. She's at the back door still. But Nikki's our new intern. So she's real nice. She's a Michigan State grad, and she's helping out a lot. Yeah, go State. She's helping out a lot because there's a lot of work that needs to get done. I mean, this is so much work. And so Nikki is chipping in and volunteering for that. So, yeah, that's pretty great. So Roger, we might just be a little late on the streaming. I think we got to get started. Does that work for you?
Sure.
Okay. All right, because we're very anal about time here. You know, we always start at noon, we always end at 1. So we just can't do that. Even though we have our big Iceland contingent that's probably waiting for the live stream. But you know what? They'll catch up. I mean, they're pretty smart over there, you know, the Eskimos, whoever watches it. But I don't even know, that's not even funny. Okay, so today, just to give you an idea of format. Okay, our speaker speaks for approximately 30 minutes. We need time for, turn up your cell phones. Is that right? Yeah, turn up your cell phones. And so Josephine Nicholas is our speaker today, and she's going to be talking about how to brand yourself through protocol and etiquette, which is very interesting. Josephine gave a compelling talk at the WXW event a couple months ago. Was anyone there? Yeah. Last month. Yeah, so last month. And so we said, hey, you know what? She should speak at LA2M. So let's give her a big round of applause. Josephine Nicholas.
Hello, everyone. And thank you for having me here. I'm very excited to be at LA2M. Is there a certain spot that I shouldn't stand? This way. Okay. So I'm already a little bit of a very personable, very excited type person. And this morning, though, I got 2 pieces of really awesome news that kind of took me to even another level. So I might be a little bit bouncing off the walls today. 2 of my clients, one was featured in HR.com on their website this morning, and one, the Wall Street Journal, called us to interview them, and he'll be in this weekend's Wall Street. So I might be a little bit bouncing today, but I will try to keep it within this room here. I'm very excited to be here. I've been an Ann Arbor resident for 8 years. I came from St. Clair Shores area. Some of you may be familiar with like the Grosse Pointes. I used to live around there. I am the Executive Vice President of the CMPS Institute, a nationally recognized certified mortgage planning specialist institute. We train and certify mortgage professionals. I'm also a PR agent. I have an agency here in town. It's my own agency, and I represent represent national and local companies, all sorts of companies, a variety of different companies. I also am very big in nonprofits. I serve on 3 nonprofit boards. I have my own nonprofit, Parties with a Purpose. We throw parties every couple of months. We were featured in Cranes a few months ago as an organization that helps children. Basically, we charge a $25 at-the-door fee, and every dollar goes to a charity of our choosing. I also serve on the New Enterprise Forum Board, which many of you may be aware of. We have our 25th anniversary. I'll put in a little plug for them. We have a 25th anniversary party next week. Please be sure to join us. Ask me about that if you are interested. And I also serve with Auxilia. It's an international children's relief organization. So I'm very big into nonprofits. Today, we are here to talk about branding yourself through protocol and etiquette. A couple of you may have heard me in the past. I'm going to cover some of those items just to kind of give a recap as to how to really brand yourself in this market and in Ann Arbor and really nationally as well. Also, we're going to talk about protocol and etiquette. I'm a certified protocol and etiquette trainer. I took courses through the Protocol School of Washington and became certified a couple of years ago. And hopefully we'll be doing a session at the U.N. to help some of those business school students take etiquette into the real world as well. So that's kind of a recap as to who I am and why I'm here. I'm very excited to join you. I have a lot of respect for this organization, and I look forward to working with you today. So talk to me about how to use, I'm sorry, I didn't.
It's not a remote.
It's not a remote. Okay, so I should just use it from here?
Yeah, you got to advance it right
Okay,
there.
no problem. All right. So, let's see that. Sorry, my bad.
Is this a PDF for PowerPoint?
It is a PowerPoint. I can just use the stamp. It's okay. It's okay. So, there are 4 reasons why we want to brand ourselves. It increases, oh, and one more thing. I kind of went against my own rules today. I gave you a PowerPoint that has a lot of words on it. I generally speaking normally have a PowerPoint up on the screen that is full of pictures so that you can have these pictures engraved in your head. That is one way to brand yourself, is by doing, when you're doing a presentation, to do it in a way that is different than the norm. Now, the reason that I gave you this handout as well as 2 others is because there's a lot of valuable information in these handouts, and I sort of took your notes for you, so that was kind of, that was the reasoning behind that. So branding, 4 reasons. Reputation is going to increase, your competitive advantage is going to increase. When you brand yourself, your confidence increases. When you present yourself at a networking event and you have a brand behind you, you've been featured in the newspaper, you've spoken at an LA2M event. This is part of my branding strategy. I can go out and say I spoke at an LA2M event. That gives me some credibility when I'm out networking in this community because this is a very well-known organization in this community. And then lastly, it definitely increases your bottom line. And we all want to do that. So we want to talk about really how to brand yourself. What are ways that you can search and find out places where you want to be featured and organizations that you want to talk about you to help brand yourself. Some of the questions you want to ask yourself as you're branding yourself, and by the way, the first part of this presentation is going to be focused on branding. The second half is going to be focused on the protocol and etiquette part. So, you want to find out what is your expertise. Have you ever asked yourself, what do I know about my industry or my business model that my competitors don't? Once you start asking yourself that and you start discovering things about yourself, or you take people out to coffee and you ask them, when you see me do business, what are the things that stand out about the way I do business? Sometimes we're so involved in the things that we do every day that we're not really aware of the wonderful nature of what it is that we do. When I have meetings with my clients, whether it's a new prospect or a current client, I will often ask them, so tell me, what does your typical day look like? And as they begin to talk to me about that, I write notes. And then at the end of our meeting, I take the notes and I turn it around to them and I say, hey, Did you know that? And then I become a news reporter, as if I'm an anchor on a TV. And I present them basically their story in the form of a news story. And they look at me like, wow, I didn't know I was that good. And so if you can take a look at your business every day, and instead of the nitty-grittiness of what you do every day, take a different perspective and see what other people would think of the wonderful things that you're doing. Those are some of the ways that you can help brand yourself in your community and with your networking, with the people that you're networking with. Also, education. I try to go to as many educational events as I possibly can within the year, and I give myself a goal. I'm not saying that I go to one every week or anything like that. I try to go to probably 3 a year for my industry or my business. The reason that helps with branding is because you get to realize what others in your industry are doing. So if you walk away from this and you start looking at the different things that are available, you know, it's been said that in Ann Arbor you can do something morning, afternoon, and night every single day of the year because there are so many events. Try to pick the ones that are very meaningful. The reason I wanted to speak at LA2M is because when I've been to LA2M, I've met people here that actually helped me with my business. They were able to contribute value to me, or I was able to contribute value to them. When you look at the networking events around town, in order to properly brand yourself, you want to be seen at those events that are meaningful to you and where you can add value. Part of what I mean by that is, for example, many people go to all the events and they represent themselves at all the events. Well, if I see you at every single event around town, I'm not really going to understand what it is that you specifically do. I may even look at you and think that the way that you're branding yourself is a little bit of a negative connotation. Because the negative part of going to every single event that's available is the fact that when are you doing your actual business? Do you have business? And if you don't have business, do I really want to refer my business to you if all you're doing all the time is networking? So while networking in and of itself is a wonderful way to help brand yourself, just be aware of the places you're being seen, the people you're being seen with, and the venues that you're going to. Also, don't be afraid to say no. One really amazing way to brand yourself is to start saying no to people. I've recently had to turn 2 clients down from my monthly fee. I have a monthly program for PR clients where I actually work on your account every day as if I'm a team member. I had to turn 2 clients down. One was very arrogant, and I couldn't see myself working with them every single day because I don't want to work with arrogant people every day. And the other one wanted to kind of fluff their business up. They had the money to pay me every month, but they wanted to talk about things that were not really relevant to, you know, to the media or to the community. And I will not take on a client. I will take on any client. I don't have any prejudice, but what I will not do is start puffing somebody up that's really has no value to the community. So don't be afraid to say no, because once you start saying no to certain clients or certain jobs, even though that cash could be handy right now in the immediate future, you'll start seeing other doors open up. Because I'll tell you, when I said no to those 2 clients, the very next day, I got an email that was a referral from somebody else, and that was actually my perfect client. It was my ideal client. And I kind of looked at myself and I said, had I taken on those 2 clients, I really would not have had the time to take on this new client. So it's a very real advice that I'm giving you. It's something that I do myself and something that I've seen other very successful business people do, is start saying no. It's a great way to help brand yourself. Also, as far as creating your message and crafting it, I'm sorry, I don't generally look at my presentation, but I do have a limited time. I normally speak for about 2 hours, and I can talk on this subject probably all day. My etiquette portion is about 4 hours normally. The sessions when I give etiquette are about 4 hours. So I'm not one of those speakers who reads off of their thing. I just want to make sure I give you the most value, so that's why I'm looking at this. Creating and crafting your message as part of branding. Do we have a little one here? Yay! That's so exciting! My youngest audience member yet. That's awesome. Welcome. Oh yes, I guess maybe we have an oldest as well. All right. So creating and crafting your message. One of the ways to really brand yourself are your talking points? What are the things that when you go to a networking event, when you speak, when you meet new people, when you meet new friends, when you're at a social event, and when you go to a party, what are the things that you want to always talk about? I have client stories that I always tell people. One, for example, I'll tell you now. We used to do live events for the CNPS Institute where we would travel around the country. And we still do this, but we're much more private now for private banks. But we traveled around and gave seminars to some of the elite loan officers across the country. And we would have New York Times bestseller writers. We had some of the financial experts on CNBC and CNN, Money, and all these kinds of financial experts come and speak at our events. So they were VIP speakers. And so one of the speakers had lost her Bluetooth in her hotel room. And she was going to speak and then leave on the plane right away. Well, it was at the time when all the Bluetooths were coming out and everyone was so gung-ho about them. Well, she lost it in her hotel room, and my staff member looked at her and said, "Can I go get it for you? Can you give me your key? Let me go see if I can find it." So the lady kind of looked at her like, "Really, you do that?" She says, "Of course, let me go see if I can find it." So she ended up finding it and brought it back to the lady. The lady told me that of all the places that she had ever spoken at as a VIP speaker, if I give you her name, most of you would recognize her. But she said, of all the places I've spoken at, not once has somebody treated me with such kindness as your team member did. I tell you that because that's a story that when I go around and tell people that story, there's a lot of ways it helps brand me. One of the ways is, I just told you, I name dropped, essentially. People are afraid to name drop. And I don't think it's a bad thing if it's done right. In fact, many of my clients start getting used to name dropping in a very respectful and classy, properly etiquette way. But one of the things I did is name drop. The other thing I did, and I told you what a great team I have. I have a team of very wonderful professionals that work with me. My employees, my interns, all of them are very professional. So now I'm telling you that if you work with me, you're not only going to be treated well by me, but by my staff. Which, if I ever give you to my staff to be handled by my staff, now you've already, in your head, I've already established that trust. And I also told you that I travel. So that's a personal thing that you can ask me about on a personal note. So tell me, where have you been? What states have you gone to when you did your seminars? Where did you stay? So one of the ways to brand yourself is talk about stories. Talk about your client stories, talk about people you've come in contact with. I'm sure every single person in this room has a story like that that you can share with others at your networking events. Also, nonprofits. One of the things I kind of want to really mention here is here in Ann Arbor, we're very internalized. We like to work with our own. We like to work with Ann Arbor-based companies. We like to work with people that work with Ann Arbor nonprofits. And we like when we support our own. We take a real big pride in that. I've only, again, been here 8 years, but as soon as I came here, I did leadership Ann Arbor. And I recognize that, that community pride right away. So when we started doing our nonprofit events for Parties with a Purpose, we reached out to a lot of third world countries and children in other countries. Well, in 2011, we decided that for our nonprofit events, we were going to support local nonprofits. So recently, because it was kind of on our hearts to support some local nonprofits. So recently we supported the Ronald McDonald House in Ann Arbor. I cannot tell you how many networking events and how many we got on the front page of the Ann Arbor Journal. AnnArbor.com wrote about us. Lucianne Lance talked about it on the radio a few times, just because we were focused on something in the community. It was not a self-serving measure. We had been doing these nonprofit events for many months. So when you're genuine and you're serving within the community, it's a very quick way to get media exposure and to get into the community. Again, if you're doing it as a non-self-serving measure, the Party with a Purpose had closed and it was done. But Lucianne Lance had interviewed me like maybe a week and a half after the fact, and she said it was about the WXW event. I was on her show for the WXW event, and she said, talk to me about your parties with Chris. And I was kind of shocked because my mind was focused on the WXW event and my speaking event and the branding conversation I was having with WXW. And all of a sudden she said, so Josephine, tell me about what you and your family do for our local community nonprofits. And it kind of took me by surprise, but I was able then to, and then I got emails from that radio interview. So again, nonprofits are it's a very relatively easy way to get in with you were on the NPR, we were on Michigan radio for some of our parties. So again, nonprofits are a great way to brand yourself. Targeting, aiming, and shooting. What do I mean by that? Well, basically, you have to be very laser focused when you're talking to the media. You can't be all over the map. So some people in this economy, in this market, are talking about Michigan. What does Michigan mean to you? I was recently nominated for the 20 in their 20s in Cranes by a few people here in this community. And one of the questions they asked me are, why, as a 20 in their 20s, have you stayed in the Metro Detroit area? What is important to you about Detroit? What would you do to improve the Metro Detroit area? With that in mind, think about why you're here. There's a reason you're in Ann Arbor, in Michigan, as opposed to somewhere else. If they're not all personal reasons, and you have some business reasons and some economic reasons why you're here, that's a great way to brand yourself, especially in this market. With so much of the media talking about Michigan and its benefits in Detroit, and there was a trending thing on Twitter yesterday about if you're not from, you're from Detroit if. And so, there's a lot of things going on in the media about Michigan. That's a great way to brand yourself. Also, the media wants a scoop. Many times when I speak with the media, I give them something that no other media source has, or that if all the media sources are talking about it, I give them a different angle. The way that my client got this morning, the Wall Street Journal called, is because there's something happening in the mortgage markets right now that everyone and the financial networks are talking about one angle of it, because that's an angle that they think consumers can understand. However, the reason they called my client is we had sent a press release about a completely different angle from a completely different perspective, and we gave our opinion on that. Because of that, the media called and said, wow, we didn't think about it this way. Many times we've started trends within the media because we've hit it from a different angle. So if there's something happening in your industry that you're hitting that you feel is valuable, you want to make sure you hit it from a different angle. So let's talk about etiquette, protocol and etiquette. The definition of etiquette and protocol intelligence is the ability to think, learn, and apply etiquette and protocol skills, especially when this ability is highly developed. I'm sure we've all experienced our share of bad etiquette as we've been to networking events. So let's talk about a few of the major ones, as well as some that hopefully I'll be bringing some new angles to your attention. Your entrance and exit. Many people comment to me that when I go to a networking event, I have a smile on my face. I come with a lot of energy. I don't come with all the day's worries and pressures as I walk in. And when I exit a networking event, there are two things I do. I ask the leader of the networking event, who is there in this room that with what you know about my business, you think that I should meet? I've done that 3 times in the last probably year where I've gotten closed business out of that question. I do it at every networking event, but there's been about 3 times where I can track back to that question and getting closed business out of it. The entrance and exit is a simple thing about smiling. I can't tell you how many people will literally stop me and just say, your smile just made my day better. Your presence, your energy, your enthusiasm for what you're doing has kind of taken me to another level in my day or inspired me. I had a few people comment on my red jacket. I figured Valentine's Day is Monday, and I wear red today. There are ways that as you're entering and exiting, as your presence is known in a room, you may have a great personality and something great to say, but you may let somebody else take the spotlight. Well, then again, as part of branding, there's something that you do, there's something that you bring to the table that's different from anyone else. Also, how do you handle food when you're at a networking event? And I know so there's some people eating here, so nobody just keep eating and whatever, and let's enjoy that. But when you're going to a networking event, many people that I see at networking events have a plate in their hand and a cup in their other hand. How does that even work when you're trying to meet people? People, the event is not about the food. What I do many times before I go to a networking event, even if there's food there, is I eat before I go. Because I think that the proper etiquette is I'm going to meet people. It's very proper to have a drink in your hand, have the finger food in your hand, but don't have both. You want to be able to shake people's hand. The other thing about food is, a lot of people use it as an excuse to not network in the sense of they're shy, so they go to the food table. They're shy, so they go, by this area or that area. If you eat before you go, then you don't give yourself that psychological excuse to go hang out by the food and that type of thing. Also, speaking of being able to shake somebody's hand, I'm so sorry. I'm a jewelry buff. I'm real big on jewelry. I like it's kind of my thing. But one of the things I was taught in the etiquette is when you're shaking people's hands and you have a big old ring, it's not very pleasant, or you can hurt yourself. If you have a bracelet, I was just meeting with somebody yesterday who said she was giving a presentation and she was talking, and her bracelet flew and hit somebody's head. And so we want to make sure that the shaking of the hand, it's a kind of a rite of passage. We want to know how to do it right. A couple of quick tips on that. You want to do web to web. If you're a female and you're sitting down and the man walks in the room, if it's a male that walks in the room, you do want to stand up out of respect for yourself. In a social setting, if you're sitting down and a male walks into the room, you don't normally stand up, and that's also for respect for yourself as a female. But in the business world, it's much more respectful of yourself to stand up and shake that gentleman's hand. And it's the same with another female. It's just a little bit more importance with a male, because of the perspective and so forth. Also, you don't want.
What about for guys? You get anything out?
Yes, and for guys, actually, it's the same thing. For a gentleman, if you stay seated, it's like what you're telling that female that walks into the room is you're not important enough for me to stand up, and I don't really respect your business sense. And so I'm just going to stay seated and just kind of say hi. Also, when you're a gentleman and you're shaking a woman's hand, you don't want to do two things. You don't want to crush the woman's hand, and you don't want to give her a fish. Okay? Many men think that is the proper way. You may have been taught that or not, but it's not actually. It's much more respectful to go web to web. When you're a female and you're shaking a man or woman's hand, also don't be too powerful. It's a very simple yet firm handshake. Practice that. Practice it with those that you come in contact with. Practice it with your friends. It's a very also the thumb is very important. It's a power thing when the thumb goes to the side. So let's be careful that we don't put the thumb to the side, because whether you're male or female, shake your male or female's hand, it's a sign of I'm better than you, I will be in control of this conversation. So make sure that you're communicating the right message by that handshake. Also, when you're networking or when you're having a meeting, gestures. I tend to talk with my hands a lot. I am of an ethnic background. You've heard of the story of the guy who was drowning, and he was, I believe it was Italian, and they said, well, just talk to him. They're like, what are you talking about? The man's drowning, we have to go save him. He says, no, just talk to him, because as he's talking, he's going to swim to shore. So that's kind of neat. But be careful that when you're gesturing, you're staying within your space. There are a couple of quick tidbits on that. People say, don't squeeze grandma. Okay, like when you're hugging your grandma, you don't want to like squeeze her real tight, right? So you want to be gentle. So you want to put enough space between your gestures where you're not squeezing grandma. At the same time, when you're gesturing, you don't want to smack somebody on the side, right? So there's a lot of people at a networking event. You want to make sure that you're staying within your space. Many times people keep the 18-inch rule in mind. So, and I know many of you are going to be like, 18 inches. So 18 inches is kind of your space. That's kind of your personal space, in front, in the back, on the side. When you're talking to somebody and you're having a conversation at a networking event, we see a lot of very close talkers. Make sure that you're respectful of that 18 inches. Even if it's a very loud event and you're trying to talk, it's not proper etiquette to get closer. If you do want to get closer, you have to say, excuse me, I can't really hear you. Do you mind repeating that? Do you mind if I lean in to hear you better? There's a lot of noise around. The best thing to remember about etiquette when you're at a networking event is thinking about the other person. It's kind of what our mom and dad taught us, let's always think about the others first. And it's the same thing with their personal space. Introductions. When you're making an introduction to somebody, you want to introduce the quote lesser to the quote greater. That means that the person who's being introduced to the other person first is the one that's quote lesser than the other one. So for example, at this event, you've got a couple of heads, to this event, or the people that are kind of putting this on. So out of respect for them, if I was going to introduce somebody from the audience to them, I would introduce the person from the audience to Derek, for example. And the way that you make that introduction is, I would like to introduce to you, Derek, Martha. I would like to introduce Derek to you, Martha. And you don't say you too. The way that I remember that is band you two. You never say, I would like to introduce you to so-and-so. That's improper in the etiquette field. The way you do that is to you. So just remember you two, the band, and don't introduce you two. If there is a president and an employee, you're introducing the employee to the president of the organization. So again, just remember, it's not a negative connotation of lesser and greater. It's just that's the respectful and proper etiquette way. The next slide, but with the quote from Harvey McKay, who's a billionaire, says, they don't teach etiquette much anymore. But if you ever have to choose between incredibly advanced accounting for overachievers and remedial knife and fork, head for the silverware. The reason for that is because many times you go to a lunch, a business lunch, and how many times have you been turned off? By the way, there's somebody's eating at that business lunch. And it's a business lunch, and they might be an expert at what they do, but it's just kind of embarrassing. And you say to yourself, if I'm going to introduce this person to my client, they may be really good at this project that they're going to help my client with, but really is that going to embarrass me if we make that introduction? So when you're at a business lunch, there's a couple of things you want to remember, because many of us set up these coffees, business coffees and business lunches. If you're the one making the invitation, make it very clear who's paying. How often have we gotten to a lunch and it's like, well, you don't know who's paying, or if you're going Dutch, or if it's, if you are paying, then let the server know, let the waiter know, so that there's not any embarrassment. Make it clear in your email, make it clear in your phone conversation when you're making that appointment. If you're going Dutch, it is not disrespectful to make it clear in that email. It is, in fact, proper etiquette to make it very clear who's taking care of the bill. If you are making a reservation, make sure you call ahead of time and talk about where you want to sit. It's the same thing with like a social dinner. You want to make sure you know where you're going to sit. You want a less crowded space. If you're having a business conversation, whatever the fact may be, you want to make sure you prepare the venue for your presence there. Also, in regard to eating, when you're, there are many parts to this. Again, I have a 4-hour presentation on etiquette, but there are ways to signify a respect with the way that you're holding your knife and fork, that you're finished with a knife and fork. Many people have asked me, is it proper to do take home when you're you know, to take up, to, when you're done and you have leftovers, to take it home. That is not improper etiquette. It is a very well accepted form of, you know, proceeding, so no worries about that. All right, now media. Now let's talk about media etiquette. We're going to go through a couple more of these things and then we'll do the Q&A. Media etiquette. There are some specific things about media etiquette that many people are maybe unaware of, and you want to make sure you address these things as you're reaching out to the media. Keep it simple. You know, many people send me these long articles, these 2-page articles, and say, can I release this to the media? The thing is, the media doesn't really care about all those details. They will interview you if they care about the rest of those details. So what you want to do is keep the press release, your email, your phone call, very simple and very to the point. That's much more respectful and much more, you're setting them up to respect you, and it's proper etiquette. Don't overload an outlet. Cranes has talked to me many times, the Free Press, you know, your channels 2, 4, and 7. When I first started calling them, they're kind of like, who is she? Why is she calling me? You know, I'm too busy. Then I started talking to some of these producers, and basically what they're telling me is, as long as you don't overload me with too much information or things that I don't care about, then, you know, then I will listen to you. You will have my ear. So don't load them with too much information on you or anybody that you're representing. Also, if you're going to personally address a reporter, an anchor, an outlet, do it with class. Let's not, you know, to whom it may concern. Find out, go watch that channel, go read that newspaper, go read that magazine. Find out who's writing the things that you want to be featured about, and address that person personally. There's no harm in that, and in fact, it's so much better than this to whom it may concern when you're addressing an outlet. Also, be smart in your response. It's very improper etiquette when you're dealing with the media and you start talking about things that they did not ask you about, or not giving them facts or links to sources. Basically what you're doing is you're doing their job for them. And that's when they become to love you, is if you're going to do their job for them right, they will come back to you and come back to you. You'll be in their Rolodex. So when you're responding to them, make sure you quote your sources. Make sure you give them a short and sweet answer. One of the ladies that was quoted in Crane's, one of my clients, basically the reporter asked her a question about the auto show, and she's an event planner. And he asked her a specific question and about events within the auto show. Are they less? Are they more? What's happening with these events now that the economy is what it is, this and that. So her response was not self-serving. It was not, well, I'm doing this and this and this event, and because of that, this is what's really great about these events. No, she gave a general overview of the event planning industry, represented her industry very well in the answer, and got quoted because of that. The statistic that she put in there, the answer that she gave, was very relevant to the whole auto show vibe. And because of that, she got a couple of calls based on that for event planning. So as long as you're not being self-serving, again, it's very proper to have the correct etiquette when you're responding to the media. Closing it. When you're closing a media response, respect their time. If they call and say, I'm available at 11 o'clock a.m., and you have other things that you may be doing at 11, you got to understand, if you want to be quoted, they're on deadline. They're telling you 11 a.m. because their story's got to go to the wires at 1. So you want to make sure that you make yourself available respectfully when you're talking to the media. Be very humble when you're doing this. The stories that I've told you, the places that I've been, the speakers that I've come in contact with, the venues I've spoken at, in front of 2,000-3,000 people. The thing that garners the most attention from people is humility. If you want to go to a networking event and close business, be humble in your approach. If you want to go to the media and get a quote in the media, Paula Gardner recently came to me, the business writer at Arbor.com, and said, somebody came up to her on the street the other day and said, I'd be a really good person for you to quote on such and such a story that's happening in town. And she said to me, that's not very helpful that they want to be quoted. I mean, everyone wants to be quoted in this community. You know, that's not humble of them. But if they had a tip, if they had something about something that was happening downtown in business that they wanted to be quoted on, well, then she's going to give them a ear, again, if they're humble. So realize that credits are not always going to show up. I do this all the time, every day in and day out. Not every time that I send a press release does it get my quote or my client's quote. Realize that you're doing a greater good, and be very respectful of that, and don't give up. You know, just keep going even though you may not be credited for it. And then lastly, just brag and repeat. You know, I think it's very important and very relevant in our society and economy that you brag about what you're doing. I get so excited when somebody retweets me or when I retweet somebody else, because it's like the tremendous voice that we now have through social media, Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and all of these social media outlets. There are so many ways that you can brag about what you're doing. I put this event on all those social media outlets, and I've gotten retweeted so many times, and I retweet other people, and it's a way to get your voice out there, and imagine that when you post a link, so say you got quoted in Arbor.com, or say you even posted, I'll tell you a little secret, and Arbor.com has that community wall, last story, and Arbor.com has that community wall. So I post very infrequently, but because it's only when I feel like it's relevant to the community, that I'll post something on the community wall. Well, when I did that, okay, you can share that on Facebook. When you share it on Facebook, people think that you just wrote an article for Arbor.com. So it's funny because I've gotten a lot of people comment like, wow, you know, you just got quoted with Arbor.com. Well, it's not that I got quoted, but you were able to kind of lean on that popularity. So make sure that you do things like that. And then that quote and that article, when you Google Josephine Nicholas, comes up in a lot of the search engine results. So just make sure that you're using all those kinds of media outlets. And then lastly, enjoy the ride. I have a great time at what I do. I think you all will have a great time doing all this. Please just enjoy the ride. Realize that it's a step-by-step process. And make sure you enjoy every moment of it. That's kind of my biggest piece of advice. So, there you go.
Thanks, Josephine. That was great. So we do have time for one or two questions. Does anyone have a burning question? I know you do.
Josephine, thank you so much. When you're making introductions, how would you go about introducing equals, and particularly making introductions via LinkedIn or email?
Very good question. Yes, very good question. When you're introducing equals, if you insert your humility in that answer, that's where the proper and most relevant result comes in. First of all, you get a book. It's called The Little Book of Etiquette. So let this be a forewarning that whoever asks the next two questions gets a book as well. When you're introducing equals, your humility comes into play. So for example, when I take my ego out of the picture, there's always one great way to get business is to introduce two people to each other. Because if they like each other, they're going to come back to you and say, thank you for making that introduction. You must know a lot of people or something like that, and it's a great way to get business. Well, if you take your ego out of the picture and you're introducing those two people, what I generally do is introduce the one that I know more to the other one, because they will not feel slighted by the fact that they got introduced to the other person. If I know them both equally, I just make sure that my humility is at the top, and then neither one gets offended that I introduced one to the other first or the other to the other first. As far as email and LinkedIn, what I like to do is address them both at the top. So the proper way to do it is you address them both at the top, you put a little paragraph saying why you're introducing the two of them, and then you put a little note to each of them individually, and you compliment something specific that you specifically know about that person or have worked with that person, and you specifically put that in your paragraph to them about the other person, okay? So you put a paragraph to both and then a paragraph to each. That's kind of the best way to do it.
Okay, so we really only have time for one more question. We have two eager people here, so she raised her hand first. That's what she put.
Thank you. That was a great presentation. Do you have any suggestions similar to the community page at Arbor.com?
Yes. There's a couple of very... sorry.
Bad start right there.
I'm here today, so.
Okay, it's okay. I like to walk it, right? So, yeah, 18 inches is kind of what I like. What I like to find are bloggers. There's some really great people in this room that have either Twitter accounts or blogs, and that's what I like to focus on. So I will go to my community, my industry, Google that, and find out those bloggers, because that's very similar to Arbor.com, because people have a lot more respect now for those bloggers and so forth, and you can repost those links. So that's kind of where I go.
Great tip. Let's give Josephine a big round of applause. Okay, so we have 12 minutes. 12 minutes to get all the way around the room. We've done faster than that. And so the point is here, stand up and briefly tell us who you are and what your company is, and if there's anything we can help you with, in 5 words or less, and then pass to your friend. Thank you.
5 words. First names only.
I'm Benjamin Jenks. I'm relatively new to marketing. I'm looking to set up some online businesses.
5 words, okay. Don Klein, Music Marketing Director.
Hey, good job, man.
My name is Martha Macris. I'm with Merrill Lynch, and my ask today is really for a nonprofit that I'm very passionate about is Arbor Art Center. We're going to be doing the Wine Fest coming up, so if there's any marketing that you would like to do for Wine Fest, through that, if there's any donations, if you want to take anything, we're looking for stuff. We're a little short this year, more than usual, so we really would. I'm head of the acquisitions committee, so come see me.
Hi, I'm Bob Hammer-Again. I'm an angel capital investor.
Hi everybody, Stacy Collett with Dollar Bill Printing.
Hi everyone, Megan Crosby with the Charles Reinhardt Company. We're celebrating our 40th year in business.
Thanks.
It's fun following Megan. My name is Greg Peters. My company is The Reluctant Networker, and I help people be more comfortable chatting with other people at events like this.
Joyce Williams, Public Affairs, Huron Valley Ambulance, nationally accredited and nonprofit.
I'm Lila Giselson with the Lindsay Zibber Group. I'm also here on behalf of the Arbor M Club, and we are having an event Thursday, tomorrow evening, the Addy Awards party. Good times. And all of the winners of the Addy Awards will be on display, and it's a great networking event and a lot of fun.
Bob Dayhow, I'm a brand development consultant.
Sorry. Hi, John Clark. I've been working with Mandy and Pandy in the development of business plans, funding sources, and just ongoing financial support. I'm looking for that type of situation, maybe with some other small businesses.
Hi, my name's Chris Lind with Mandy and Pandy, and today I'm wearing red for Valentine's Day, but also because it's still Chinese New Year, so happy Chinese New Year, everybody.
We hate that.
Hi, I'm Megan Curry from Underground Printing. I'm new to Ann Arbor, and we opened a new store across the street, and I'm the sales manager, so I'd love to have you stop in and say hello.
Evan Lowry, working at Shar Music.
Hi, I'm Amy Ma. I'm taking cue from Josephine, so I deal with a lot of quote disruptive businesses, and so I guess I'll be a little bit more disruptive in this presentation. The first thing I do is energy. It's green energy. We have technology for turning garbage into fuel. So we eliminate, the landfill problems and so on, and turn them into fuel that is cheaper than coal and a lot more environmentally friendly than coal. And we also have alternative energy, which is again the cheapest and the best. Then there is, I guess I'm taking a cue from Josephine, so.
5 words or less, remember.
Okay, all right. I'm doing, representing some biggest jewelry manufacturer in Asia, and I want to use it for charitable purposes. So I guess that's more than 5 words.
Jeremy King, Ross MBA in 16 days.
Susan Hunsberger of Strategize Organize LLC, professional organizer, help people organize their paper, things, and space in residential and also educational settings.
Steve Krognes, why I'm here today is to meet all of you, and please keep me in mind because I have a way to help businesses grow their sales, as I'm an expert in sales and marketing and looking for work, so please keep me in mind.
Hi, I'm Nikki. I'm an LA2M intern. Also, I found a pair of leather gloves out there. If anybody is looking. I don't know. I found them out there by the sign-up sheet. So, if you guys need gloves.
Hi everybody, I'm Carol Cam with Encore Asset Recovery and Resale. We find new homes for great stuff.
Hi, I'm Megan Mead. I'm currently a student at the Creative Circus in Atlanta. It's a portfolio school for advertising, and I also write for Ingenics. Glad to have her back. Hi, I'm Tiffany. Good to see you guys again. I'm from Ingenics. I want to say on the same line as at Arbor.com, more resources and the bloggers. Arborwiki.org is a great place to find local bloggers, including the Digital Bus, which is Ingenics' blog. So, thanks for giving me out.
I'm David Waite, and I'm a digital marketing intern at Ingenics.
I'm Amanda Butcher. I'm also an intern at Ingenics.
Hi, I'm Kai Bloom. I also work at Ingenics.
Hi, I'm Greg Moore. I'm with TAS Networks. I don't work with Ingenics.
Thanks, Greg.
I'm Cortez Page. This is Nasias. I'm with Landmark Creative Partners. I'm an artist and engineer for marketing-related fabrications.
I'm Janet Wolforth. I'm a coordinator for the Center of Integrative Genomics at the University of Michigan, where we do phenotyping on mice and rats. And I'm also partnered with Cortez here, and we're going to be launching a new business called Safe Niche Products. And we've developed a product that makes anesthetizing rodents safer for people.
I'm Bud Gibson. I started the search marketing program at EMU. We've worked with over 80 nonprofits. Students are starting to make a big impact in the community working with local businesses. Contact me if you're looking for fairly inexpensive pay-per-click advertising work from some of my great students.
Hi, I'm John Pullen with the Hair Club for Men. Okay. I'm a corporate speaker and a corporate entertainer. I've hosted a couple of dozen shows for the Discovery Channel, both nationally and internationally. For more information on that, visit funnybaldman.com. That's funnybaldman.com.
Danny Black with ShortDwarf.com. I'd be polite and stand Josephine, but it won't make a difference. And I guess I'm not the little one that Josephine was talking about.
Hi, I'm Phil Callahan. I'm with the National Center for Manufacturing Sciences, and we're putting together an event to promote National Robotics Week here in Ann Arbor in April.
My name's John Porter. I'm a specialist in computer security and also looking for disaster recovery work, and enjoy these meetings every time we go here.
Hi everyone, I'm Kendra Kerr with Gray Hair Management. It is an organization that helps professionals in transition. So I want to let you know we are having an event on February 22nd. It is a career transition conference for senior executive levels, managers and above, that are having a struggle with their job search. And there are a lot of people out there. So it may not be you, but maybe somebody you know, a friend, a family member, a neighbor. Have them go to grayhairmanagement.com to learn more about the event.
Hi, I'm Gordon Kangas. I own a company called Fluent that helps for-profits and non-profits make better presentations. I'm also a graduate of Bud's class, and I can't say enough good about that program.
Susan Harris, Tech Writer, Engineering.
Roger Rail, Ignite Ann Arbor tonight.
All right.
Bob Shannon, CPA. I specialize in helping small businesses grow, take care of your accounting and tax work for you.
Michelle Shannon with Prepaid Legal Services and the Identity Theft Shield. We help small companies, individuals, and families have access.
Mary Lou Olds with Boulevard Financial. If someone or yourself relies on your income and you don't have disability insurance, if you don't talk with me, talk with someone to take care, make sure that's taken care of.
Darlene Moran, I help people with people out with various things, organizing and such.
Hi, I'm Eric Ducatz. Excuse me. I'm with Affordable Computers in Sales and Marketing.
Hello, Darlene Lemansky, AnnArbor.com, Account Executive. Suzanne Clark, AnnArbor.com, interested in Sales Associate as well.
Great, welcome to AnnArbor.com. So it's 12:59. My name's Derek Maribon. I'm CEO of Ingenix Digital Marketing, and like Bud being a teacher, I teach at Michigan State University the New Media Driver's License course, which is really, really fun. So, anyways, I'm just going to be here, but I'm going to pass it over to Dee Davey to introduce next week's speaker.
Dee Davey, I'm an independent marketing contractor, and I help companies who offer business-to-business services. And I also have the pleasure to introduce next week's Lunch Ann Arbor marketing speaker. It's a speaker we've had before. He's updated his presentation. He's such a charismatic, motivational guy, and he's just a real nice guy to boot. Kevin Gillespie is coming back to land to introduce his topic, which is what is in your toolkit. So see you next week, Lunch Ann Arbor Marketing. Thank you.
And Ignite is tonight, right? At the business
Ignite,
school?
business school.
7 o'clock at the business school.
Be there early. Limited seating.
Yes.